I want Jesus to walk with me. Hold my hand, Lord. Hold my hand. Hold my hand, Lord. Hold my hand. While I'm on this teacher's journey, I want Jesus to walk with me. Amen. Our Apostles' Creed. Believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and Jesus Christ, His only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born under the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, dead, and buried. The third day He arose from the dead. He ascended into heaven, and sitteth on the right hand of God the Father Almighty. From thence He shall come to judge the quick and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Church Universal, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and life everlasting. Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for bringing us together again today to study thy word, Lord. Lord, we ask you to allow the Holy Spirit to come into the midst of us, Lord, and bless us. Give us patience and memory, Lord, to do the things that we're learning in these lessons, Lord. I should bless them for each and every one. The sound of my voice, Lord, those that are coming, those that willfully stay away, Lord, bless them also. Lord. Bless everyone in this community and others, Lord, that are doing that work. Bring all the pastors, Lord, and all those that are surrounded by these buildings and this land, Lord. We ask you to continue to be with us and lead and guide us through all the things that we do to glorify thy name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. We'll be seated. Our lesson today, warm here. Which one do you want? Kingdom Life is its title of the lesson today, lesson 13 for February 23rd, 2025. Our scriptures lesson is taken from Matthew 25th chapter, 31st through the 46th verse. Our key verse comes from Matthew, the 34th and 35th verse, which states, "The king will say to those at his right hand, Come, you who are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. I was hungry and you gave me food." Matthew 25th chapter, 34th and 35th verse. 31st. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. 32nd.
All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats.
33rd. And he will put the sheep at his right hand and the goats at the left. 34th.
Then the king will say to those at his right hand, Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.
35th. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. 36th.
I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you took care of me. I was in prison and you visited me.
37. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when was that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? 38.
And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing?
39. And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you? 40.
And the king will answer them, Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of them, least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it to me.
41st. Then he will say to those at his left hand, you who are accused, depart from me into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. 42nd.
For I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink.
43rd. I was a stranger and you did not welcome me. Naked and you did not give me clothing. Sick and in prison and you did not visit me. 44.
Then they also will answer, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not take care of you?
45th. Then he will answer them, truly I tell you, just as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. 46. Okay. All together.
And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous will be righteous into eternal life.
Amen. Summary of the Decalogue. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Lord, have mercy upon us, and incline our hearts to keep this law. Hear what Christ our Savior said. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbors thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Ghost, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Amen. Did you see it? Okay, this is the last lesson in our series of lessons for this one quarter. And we're studying Kingdom Life.
Yeah.
Kingdom Life. Yes. And it comes from the series of King Forever and Ever. And here it is wrapping up this King Forever and Ever. And we see that this lesson right before he departs, he's giving instructions from chapter 24 to the disciples, and then he's telling them about what's going to happen. And it's wrapping up this series of lessons for us. He's going to come forever. He'll come back, right? He's not going to tarry. He's not coming back to as a baby. He's not coming back as a, he's a savior, but he's coming back to judge this time. So we'll see what's going to happen in this. It's a very good lesson. I hope all of you read the commentary, very excellent commentary that came along with this lesson. Yeah, everything about it. Case study, life application. It's all the things that we been discussing and talking about, and that we do talk about in board meeting and all that about giving money and tithing and offering, and a whole, it's encompassing everything. And just looking at it and give us some good ideas of what we should be doing with benevolence, as well as helping people out, and what we should do as individuals and as organizations and as churches. So it's Kingdom Life, so that's what we got planned for us. And so we're going to have a lively discussion about this, hopefully. Teacher may now take charge of the class.
All right, you kept on. Okay, what?
Yeah, Brother Field, the books were down in the little cabinet in the bottom. I found I brought mine.
Yeah, I brought the other two from the house.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
good.
they're on the back.
Oh, well, good.
We got that, now you got all where they belong.
Indexes.
And everything, back in order and
All
stuff.
right.
Yeah, y'all back with me. I got a head cold from somewhere this morning, and it's whooping me, Jack. It's been a most nice sleep. I brought on that alluded to a great lesson, y'all. Make you think about some things, you know? Definitely make you think about some things and stuff, you know, we take for granted and stuff. Well, if I didn't know before, I got a good synopsis, the difference between the sheep and the goat. I don't have to worry about it no more. Hey, look, can't be no goat. Didn't want to be there before, but now I definitely don't want to be there now and stuff, you know. Key verse the king will say to those at his right hand, come, you are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me food. Matthew 25:34, 35th verse. The thing about this stuff is, we do know with certainty, you know, ain't got to debate it. We do know God is, you know, gonna send his son Jesus back, and Jesus already promised us that he gonna come back, you know, and said there's no doubt. And there's a lot of things about this stuff, you know, but yeah, Jesus led the disciples though. You know, when I come back, you know, it's one of the things too, you know, and like I said, I like this young man the way he writes and stuff. You know, he put a lot of good meat in there. First thing he told you about when Jesus came the first time, he came in all his glory, you know, everybody saying, you know, he came with the babe and stuff, you know, but when he come back, it'll be a whole different picture, you know. He had two different missions. You know, the first one he came, you know, to save what was lost, you know. And the thing about it is, you know, even though the Jews themselves were looking for the warrior prince to come back and lead them against the Romans and stuff, you know, that wasn't the plan that God had for his son when he came. You know, so sometimes when we look at the things that we want to suppose the thing that God has already made so bad, God done already set this plan out before the foundation of the world. And before he even, you know, created the world and put all us on it and stuff, we already knew how he wanted things to go. And I think sometimes we forget about who it is and what it is that's controlling our destiny and stuff, you know. We think, I used to think for a long time, Pastor, hey, that old philosophical euphemism that we always have sometimes. No, I can get up and go to work, you know, I'm strong enough, I can work, I can have anything I want and stuff, you know. And a lot of times I forgot who it was that was in control of making all those things possible and stuff, you know. And sometimes, you know, we be a little remiss sometimes in not giving God credit for all the things that he do for us, knowing and unknown and stuff, you know. And sometimes when we get old folks that are say, don't let your hummingbird mouth overload your, you know, your little, you know, wide butt, you know, but sometimes it'll catch up with you and stuff, you know. So sometimes we got to be very particular. And I like the way, even like Dr. start off, you know, writing the book, say, it is the human nature to classify people according to their outward appearance, wealth, or their social standing. But you forget about, and sometimes forget about those that's all around you, that's in need help, you know? And sometimes it's easy to come in church sometime and look at the people that you're familiar with and stuff, you know, and hey, you know, you can greet them, you know, you can extend your hand to them and stuff, you know, you can talk about what kind of love you have for them and stuff, you know, but then you got the people out in the streets that you may not have any, you know, daily dealing with and stuff, you know, and it's like they're invisible to you. You don't even see them, you know? And if one of them come up to you and ask you for something and stuff, you know, automatically you see them coming across the street and stuff, say, I ain't got time for this today. I ain't got time for this morning and stuff, you know. You already know formulated opinion. Look here, he drunk, this, you know, this crackhead, you know, or this lady who's sitting down there trying to hustle and beat, you know, this morning. But you know, you don't understand that it's so easy that you could be in the same position overnight, you know. So don't forget about those. And sometimes, you know, and the book pointed out biblically and stuff, you know, for us as individuals, how do you see and how do you address the needy? How do you separate, you know, those people who have a genuine need and those who just scamming trying to get something, you know? I remember growing up and stuff where I used to call them the $1, $2 men when I was growing up. Always. and borrow $1. No goodwill effort to pay you back. Let me borrow $1. Sometimes it's better to go and give $1 up, just get rid of it, than to sit there and let them aggravate you, you know? But then you know one thing. The very next time you see them, the same interplay will happen again. Hey man, hold up. Didn't we just go through this last week and the week before that? How many times you gonna come at me with this? Let me have $1 scenario. You ever seen some people you won't allow them to do things for you because you know it won't end right there? Yeah. Sometimes you know, sometimes you have to look ahead and stuff and see what's going on and stuff, you know, between, you know, doing what's right, doing what's acceptable, and doing not what you know you shouldn't do. Make sense to you, Sister?
Yes.
But sometimes you have to walk away from people and stuff, you know. Sometimes people won't allow you help and stuff, but you know, this particular lesson and stuff, you know, take place. Setting was that Jesus was in, you know, busy, you know, the final week of Jesus' earthly ministry. So a lot of stuff, you know, you don't have to ever wonder when you're trying to get to the end of something, you're trying to, hey, a good summer, you know, you're trying to get it all in, anything that you might have missed and stuff, you know. So here is Jesus in his last ministry, you know, basically, you know, trying to get, you know, a lot of stuff when he was talking about this part of his, albeit discord and stuff, you know. He talked, you know, was teaching the truth of, you know, about what was going to happen, you know, what we come to associate as Faction Week and stuff. You know, he was trying to show the people on his way out of Dodge and stuff that you got to have compassion for your fellow man, you know. You got to exhibit some love, you know. And it ain't all about what you getting out of it and stuff. It's what you doing for somebody else and stuff, you know. And as human beings and stuff, one of the hardest things in the world that we have to accept sometimes and stuff is that at some point in your life, my life, their life, anybody's life, we all need help. You know? Now, whether you accept that help or not, you know, a lot of times that's on you. But my grandmama used to always tell me it's better to offer, even if it's not received, you know. Offer to you, either take it or turn it down gracefully, you know. Thanks for no thanks. You know, I'm not hungry, you know. But I appreciate you, you know, you making the offer and stuff, you know. And sometimes we forget about, you know, like I said, Jesus asked the disciples, what is the sign of the coming of the end of the world? You ever notice we're still in the same thought process? 2,000 plus years later, you know, we still want to know what the signs are, you know. And the Bible already made it plain and stuff, you know. During the time when Jesus was ready to leave here and stuff, you know, nobody knew the time or the date of his return. Not even angels in heaven, nobody, not even disciples. Only God knew. And the one who will propose when it is that Jesus will come back. I don't know about y'all, I'm kind of glad he ain't coming right now and stuff, you know, because it's still a little something that I got to do. Got to get a few more checks, Pastor, because the first 25, 30 years and stuff, boy, look, probably had more minuses than I had pluses. So, you know, I appreciate this extra time, you know, it gave me, you know, but just in case, you know. It's funny for me too. Sometimes when you read this stuff, say, no, Jesus said that, and like once again, you know, he's trying to warn, you know, people don't sit there waiting on signs of my return and stuff, you know, but continue to do those things that you know that's right, you know. See, I don't think God left us here and stuff waiting on his return to be ours and doing nothing, you know. We already got our mission. We already got our mandate. We already got what it is we should be doing, you know. Hey, showing one love, you know, helping those, you know. And the thing about it is, never heard it put this way before. The six ways that, you know, kind of like you guys never saw that, you know, never heard them addressed that way, you know. The 6 ways, the 6 things that you should be doing, you know, as a true believer and stuff, you know. Kind of struck me as odd. I said, never heard it expressed that way and stuff, you know. But it made a good synopsis of what it was, the difference between being a sheep and a goat, you know. And the introduction to the key verse and stuff, you know. God just made it parallel and stuff, you know. So when I was hungry, you fed me, you know. You want to say also when I was, naked, you clothed me, When I was thirsty, you gave me water and stuff, And then it's kind of fun and stuff, you being the sheep of God, a true believer, a follower, of the way. Then sometimes you figure, well, these things that we naturally do and stuff, But then I find it odd as I was reading and studying this stuff, the goats never committed adultery, never murdered nobody, never did nothing sharing that was out of the ordinary. They just had one thing going against them, They just didn't care. Turned the head the other way,
Right.
Didn't want to get nobody no time,
Taking
So
care of their own needs.
well, basically, self first, And you think kind of odd. God, we serve something. You want to say, well, God punish these people. They really ain't did nothing, out of the way, But who gonna do the separating? Who the main characters in our lesson today? Who we talking about? Who gonna be the judge?
Talk about those who did and those who did not do.
And at the end,
Dealing with it.
and at the end, Jesus gonna be doing the judge. He gonna be the judge, He gonna be the one who gonna decide who spend eternity in hell or who gonna have eternal life in heaven.
Before you move on to that, brother, a one or two lessons ago, we talked about the young man that came to Jesus and
Richard.
Yeah.
Well, he had done, he said he had done all those things.
From birth.
But see, when I was reading this lesson, Jesus told him to go sell everything because he was telling him about things that he didn't do. That's what we're gonna be judged on. We can't do enough. We can't give a good work to get in heaven, right? But if you don't do certain things, you don't kill my people, you don't do, and that's what he had, that just dawned on me then when I was studying this lesson. It was what he didn't do. He did not go, he didn't take his money and do all these things and give the people. He had killed nobody, he had murdered, he had he said, if I'm worthy, done all these laws. And that's what we have to think about, we come to church every day and sing and shout and pray and whatever. But we don't look after our neighbor. We don't see about our friends, love thy neighbor as thyself. God said, love. Jesus told him, next time he said, love them as I have loved you, because if you don't love yourself, you don't want to treat people like that. But love like Jesus loved, that's what he's saying. But we have to go out and do things to help people. There's a lot of people in this community, I tell you, do those things. But we're not going to get into help on our good work, but we have to help and do things for others.
It's a gift and stuff. We are an unmerited favor, what we got, we didn't work for, it was a free gift, from God to us. But like Brother said, young Rudy, the young man missed out on a golden opportunity. Not only to be able to walk with Jesus, Jesus basically told him, hey, look, go sell all you got, and give it to the poor. And come on, follow me. And being the rich, hey, he thought about all that granddaddy had to accumulate, all the dad had to accumulate, and gave it all to him and stuff. And then at that point, even though he was a student, of the word and the law, that money meant more to him. And sometimes, like Grandma didn't lose back and stuff here. This lesson brings back so much day-to-day stuff that we should be doing and stuff, that it makes you evaluate yourself. And sometimes you have to do a self-evaluation, Right. And everybody always assume about, the book pointed out biblically and stuff, and let's do a lesson. Donation. It ain't always about money,
Right.
It ain't never been always about money, but people always thinking about donating something. They always just put the dollar sign, Time, talent, Free time you got to help somebody else, Help somebody clean up the house, Help somebody, go grocery shopping for them and stuff, Reading to the elderly, Helping some young kids and stuff, providing meals for them if they're hungry, because there ain't nothing worse than being able to do something and you never do it to help another person.
know, one thing that I don't think a lot of people think about when they think about donating time and talent is, and Eddie, we can commiserate on this, but when I was working for Head Start and I had time to like get involved in other nonprofits that were also supporting Head Start. And one of the best ways for me to help those other nonprofits was to sit on their board of directors. And, you know, I think a lot of times, and people are always looking, you know, people who have time and talent, you know, to be on the board, because that's how you keep your nonprofit going, is by having a very active and knowledgeable board.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times, you know, when I look around at the people in this church especially, and with all the churches on the north side that I'm familiar with, that most of those people are involved, not only in doing good works, but in helping, you know, plan and organize those good works by sitting on boards. And so there's always a shortage of board members, you know.
You know, it's been pointed out too many times, and it's not an old worn out adage, you know. Hey, the harvest is plentiful, but the labors are few. Everybody don't want to, you know, everybody don't want to give it their time and stuff, you know. That's the question. Do you give because of the special interest or the need that you see that need to be addressed, or you just do just because? Do you give because of special interest that you have in a particular, you know, area, a particular set of people, or do you just do it because it's a need for it?
I do it because it's a need for it. When you're doing a special interest, I just off the top of the head, you think more of yourself. You know, when you see the need of the people, you're trying to satisfy the need of the people, like you said, even with crackhead, somebody don't come across the street, that's not a need, that's a want. You know, with me, for a long time, I think about that baby deal went down. Shoot, we had a need around here, plentiful need. And I think about the people that helped me because I was in need. I said, shoot, that's a goal now to move forward with it. Everybody that I know that's a need for, I felt it myself. So it's just a habit of helping people in need. Everything I try to do is, most of my jobs in the last few years have been helping people in need.
And see, that's, you got to get from yourself.
Well,
Well, see, the thing about this, and you have to put yourself in that position. Just
And
piggyback.
sometimes you're in that position.
Yeah, well, just
You know, when our mill
piggyback.
shut down, we thought we were gonna be working at the mill, making a good living like my grandparents and my parents. And I went to a forum on poverty, communities of poverty. And the woman sitting at my table before we even got started, we were talking about childcare. And this is, you know, if you're staying close to the news, the Heritage Foundation had just come on the scene in the state of Washington. And the woman said, you shouldn't have children if you can't take care of them. And I said, well, do you think that everybody that has children, you know, thinks that they're not going to be able to take care of them? And I said, you know, my husband and I, the mill shut down. And we lost our source of income. We had to go on state insurance. We had to, you know, figure out a way to pay the bills and be creative. And she said, well, I'm not talking about you. And I said, don't you think that happens to everybody at some point? As a parent, you run out of resources or something happens in your life that makes it so that you need support. And I just read this comment on Facebook the other day, and the woman said, don't have children if you can't take care of them.
You know, people so much too.
So there we go. You know, sometimes people, it's always, well, not you. I'm not talking about you. You appear to be working and doing the good things, and but
Well, let me ask this question.
so.
And because people got so many fallacies and stuff. Even people who work have a need.
Sure.
Everybody comes short. Because one of the most formative years that you're trying to make it, see, people see sometimes a lot of times the now, but they don't see the then. They don't realize when you first starting out, you know, in your work pursuit, and you got children, it's a lot of times you may not have a penny in your pocket. You know, but Eddie, to piggyback up you, when the paper mill went down and stuff, I missed the first semester of my senior year going back to school. Not because, you know, I flunked out of anything and stuff. It's just the fact that I say, you know, I saw Trans Am Bird with them 6 packs on it and stuff. Boy, look at that big bird on it, and they called me. And I said, Lord, I got to have more, Cheryl. So I said, I'm gonna work 3 or 4 more months, you know, so to go back to school in August, I'm gonna get this car. But they got on the way to get in the red Camaro. Paper mill went down. Dad had mortgages, had stuff for the church had to pay. He was a member of the lodge, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So guess what? Here was I, all of, not quite, about 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So Cheryl, I'm sitting there working at paper mill, working on a wood job, making good money. So you holler about a need. There's a need or want, you do it just because, or you do it because you see it need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, every 2 weeks, I jumped in my Volkswagen. I drove to St. Joe. After going by the little meat house, I would go buy Cheryl a half a cow. You understand? All the hamburger meat, all the pork chops, big giant bags of beans and peas, and you know whatever else I thought, you know, French fries. And loaded all in boxes on my back seat, you know, my Volkswagen. Now I drive home, and I would bring it, and I would give it to my father. I said, here, you know, because at one time he was talking about trying to, somebody told him to go from job somewhere in Alabama, Georgia, and he's talking about, well, he was going to try to go. I say, Pop, stay home. Stay home. You know, I said, stay home. Just stay where you're at and stuff. You know, I said, you got to do that. And then he said, well, what I'm going to do, I said, don't worry about it. I got you, just like you had me. So, for Sheriff, about a 5 or 6 month period, paid all the mortgages, paid all the utility bills, every 2 weeks, going getting the little cow and stuff, you know, because I was 20 years of age. Had no children, had no responsibilities. You understand? Hey. And so I did this, and a lot of people never knew what was going on. It was just simple fact that I brought the food to Pops, and he, knowing like he was, he distributed it out to everybody, you know, because, and look, I was buying 5 or 6 different kinds of steaks, and I didn't even like steaks. But it came with the cow share. You understand? And see, and sometimes about it is, it was a situation where I was waiting on nobody to pat me on the back and say, oh, you did good. Because most of the time, I really didn't think it was necessary for nobody to know. You know? Because what the word always tells us, say, if you're doing stuff for somebody to heap praise on you, then why you doing it? You know? Do it if you can't do it from your heart, my grandma always taught me, if it's not from the heart, don't do it. Because if it's not from the heart, it's not real. So, you know, sometimes when you see
I'm waiting on the yeah. No, I'm gonna wait on you to finish because I just thought of something. You mentioned the need and the want. And we always, I think the word want gets a bad rep.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you see a need, you gotta want to help that need. But we always just talk about want. I just want some.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes that word want gets a bad rep. We gotta want to help.
Yeah.
We gotta want to step out of our comfort zone. When we talk about the rich man, he had to want to give his stuff.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So sometimes, like Brother Eddie said, and Sister Cheryl, they saw the need, but Cheryl wanted to sit on the board, right? Instead of making somebody else, you know, well, I see the need, why won't you go do it?
Yeah.
Right. So we got to make sure in our giving, we want to give freely.
Right.
We want to give generously, not just because there's the need there, but because we want to help. And we're not just doing it just because there's a need there, because that's given grudgingly or of necessity.
You know,
Well, one thing I was thinking
Well, take it.
after reading this was, you know, I mean, for me right now at this stage of my life, which was much different when we were younger parents,
yeah,
I have resources and maybe time and ability to put myself in these positions, you know, and so I have to think to myself now, if I was just living on Social Security and I, you know, could only drive my car if I really needed to, or I didn't have a car at all because I couldn't afford it, I mean, would I still have that same generous spirit? So I have to like check myself on that, like, you know, a lot of times, you know, you have the ability to do things in your life because you have been blessed with more resources and opportunities than other people.
You have to have that will to do things. And a lot
Right.
of people have, you have another thing that goes along with what question Brother Janelle had. Some people have desires to work with certain areas.
yeah.
You know, they want to work with government or housing or
Right.
flowers, put flowers in the community, trees,
Yeah.
turtles, like they got turtle people. You know, they work with the turtles.
Right.
They'll do anything for the turtles.
Mhm.
You know, and so like our organization work with bicycles. We do anything to get the bicycles and distribute them and put out foot forward efforts. And a lot of people like that. So I remember when I was working with just a community organization, we had an Association for Community Action. We had in the 70s, I think it was, and we did a lot of different things. And we would ask people to go to city commission meeting, county commission meeting. Oh, they gonna do it, they gonna do it. I couldn't understand that. But as I got older now, I don't want to go to a city commission meeting because, you know, I've seen the things that go on and I know what happened. So I'll work outside of that because I'm not controlled by those
Right.
things. So everybody you have a desire to do certain
And
things.
everybody has a lane
Right.
to operate in.
Right.
I use your organization as, you know, you all do bicycles. But there may be another organization that do helmets.
Right.
All right. So are you going to say, well, I don't know why they're doing helmets and I'm doing, no, you partner with that person because we need each other.
That's right.
Right.
So the Lord gives everybody gifts. That's why he said, you know, the different parts of the body, but it's still the same
Same need.
same need.
And
So,
So sometimes we, you know, like I say, even here, sometimes with living, we do get complacent.
Yeah.
We do get, hey, look, as human beings, gotta get complacent. Oh, well, you know, I'm all right and stuff, you know, I enjoy it more, you know, drink my little cup of coffee and I go anywhere, but the same token, you know, you get up in the morning and stuff, hey, look, hey, how many times pass by people, you know, you sit there and then they look at you, come out. I think about my grandmother, people come by every day and say, needing to work done? And I thought how my grandmother used to handle that situation, you know? And somebody came by one day when I stayed with my grandparents and said, Miss Fennell, I'm hungry. Can I do something to get me some food? You know, and I kind of looked at him, you know. Eddie and my grandmother, she used to always tell me, say, don't never take away people, you know, pride or they, you know, ability to want to do something, okay? They don't make them feel so bad that they, you know, you turn them away. And she told him, say, yeah, just pick up that piece of paper for me. So she picked one piece of paper out of the yard, right? And I kind of looked at grandma and stuff, you know, but all the time, Sarah, I'm trying to learn, right? I'm about 19 years old. I said, Grandma, was you picking up one piece of paper enough for the food? Say, it wasn't about the food, baby. It was making sure that person maintained their self-respect, you know? They was willing to work for what they was asking for, you know? As opposed to just you giving, you know? See, a lot of people, you know, to maintain some of the dignity and stuff, you know, because, you know, if you one paycheck away.
Yeah, that dignity also is that you're doing something for somebody else, right? I mean, so I just want to say this, there was a book, Stopping at Every Lemonade Stand, that my friend gave me a long time ago. And if you want to cultivate givers, you do it by example. And so when I see a kid selling something, I probably don't need it, and I shouldn't have it if it's like Girl Scout cookies or whatever.
But I'm anyway.
But, or a bake sale, you buy it anyway, and if that's the, kind of the rule that you live by, stop at every lemonade stand, you just cultivate that whole spirit of giving, and kids see that, and then, they're like, wow, that person just paid $5 for that cup of lemonade. I'm sure they probably didn't need it, and their grandmother's telling them, hey, you charge it too much. But, it sets that spirit in people,
Remember how that we all grew up in the generation where say it's the thought that counts. It's the thought, because you may be overpriced in what you paying for and stuff, but that's in line with the stuff that Jesus put before us and stuff, The 6 things, the 6 ways. I was hungry, you gave me food to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you invited me in. I needed clothing, you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. That's a good sheep, Sharon. And we know we are what? We're sheep. We're sheep. God knows us and he knows, and all the sheep supposed to know God's voice and stuff, which we supposed to do naturally, the things, to help others, to be about it. I look at organization me and Brahman and stuff, it started out, help the widows to often educate the youth and stuff, but the time we live in, stuff go beyond that, and if you can't be flexible enough that you make adjustments, because see, the thing about the life we live in now and the time we're living in, it's fluid. If you can't reach right about now, one of the biggest misnomers everybody don't understand stuff is get a kid the little telephone and let them play the video games. What's wrong with playing the video game? Old people don't see nothing wrong with it. But now the people who sitting down there who starting to look at this thing say, letting these kids sit out there playing with them little games for 6 and 7 hours a day is doing something to their brain. That they're not functioning. Say you need to take that thing out of their hand, you need to put them outside, to go play, get some sunshine, because staying there all day long playing them games, it's messing with the brain, And so sometimes, it's the cause effect, everything you do is as Christians, we're expected to do certain things, we're expected to do it without being asked to do it. Feed the hungry. Who is the hungry? You see them in the community every day and stuff. I remember when the Cozy Cafe first opened up about 2 years ago and stuff, when they running, they used to cook breakfast for the kids every morning before they caught the bus. Because a lot of kids want to eat breakfast in the morning. And I don't know about you and stuff, well, if you're early in the morning, boy, when you're hungry, you just don't function. You just don't function. Imagine a kid. Hey, if you got your last meal, that's why I used to hate about the military sometimes, y'all. You get that last meal at 5 or 6 o'clock, and boy, look here. It's 6 o'clock the next morning before somebody finna provide some more substance. If you ain't had, look, one of those snack bars and all that, if you had something that you could munch on, Cheryl, you were starving like Marvin by the time 6 o'clock came and stuff, So sometimes we got to understand that it's disrespected of us as sheep, you got to do it. And if the goats was given the same criteria to do and they ignored it, imagine how many people gonna lose out on eternal life and stuff because, like I say, because of apathy. I really don't want to do that. I asked my grandmother one time, so she said, there's a lot of jobs in the church. And I told grandmama, you just got to listen off job, Cherry. I said, well, grandmama, I don't think I want to do that job, I don't think I want to be the janitor. She said, baby, ain't nothing wrong with cleaning up the Lord's house. You got to be clean, There ain't no harm and nothing wrong with cleaning up the bathroom, sweeping the floors, vacuuming the rugs, dusting, Say, it's an admirable job, But when you want one of them, quote unquote, them pretty jobs, Sharon, hey, I really don't. I just want to come here and pursue all this stuff, And if the pastor asks me to do something, asks me about my praying, I tell you to find somebody else. I really not feeling it this morning and stuff, Really? What's wrong in working for the good of others? More blessings come from what? Giving than receiving. So if you ain't giving of yourself and you ain't giving nothing back and stuff, I don't sit down and read to you what Revelation already said and stuff about when God and Jesus come back and you separate between the sheep and the goat. I don't have to give no synopsis about, the tares growing in the wheat. God said let them grow together, because at the end, hey, why kill what's good, Sharon? When at the end you're gonna do the separating and stuff, and the tares you're gonna take them and throw them in the fire. I don't want to be thrown in no fire, So guess what? Why I yet have the time to do something, do all and everything that you can, to help. Tommy Curtis' husband, his favorite saying was, when you do for the least of them, you do unto me. What is doing for the least of them? Somebody, stop top of your head. What's doing for the least of them? Who is the least?
Misfortunate. Well, in some ways, poor.
The poor.
In some ways, the stranger.
Strange.
In some ways, the sick. So,
somebody that doesn't have, there's somebody that has less than you. If you got $1 and they got 50 cents, they're the least.
well, if they can't do their laundry because their machine broke down,
Yeah.
they're the least at that moment.
They're the least at that moment, so.
It's not
The world looking at it too. The world looking at it being the least.
Yeah.
Also, before, wasn't born into a high class family, so to speak. Those type of things, they look at them.
And that is the problem we're having with leadership in our country.
Yes.
This country was based on having the least,
Yeah.
the less.
Tired, you're poor.
Right. Send your poor
It
city.
was formed off those
Yeah.
those ingredients,
Yeah.
Well, working for, my career was with Head Start, so working with the poor.
Yeah.
And there were years when Head Start wanted to get away from using the word poor,
Poor.
because it made people feel a certain way. But it's like, you know what? The definition of poor is going without, essentials,
Right.
the basics in life.
Right.
And that makes you poor. And it's not about money, it's about having the basics that you need to survive.
Good word.
Yeah.
Basic necessities of life.
I mean, let's put it out there. You're helping the poor, okay? I mean,
If you think about it, there are people that work 9 to 5 jobs and still can't afford the basic necessities. Now, you talk about childcare.
you can't afford childcare.
Okay, because childcare now is about $1,000 a week for infants, or so.
Yeah.
And not even for a full day.
Well, we were
Nothing
doing,
for a full day.
we were doing subsidized childcare. So the state of Washington said, as long as you're working and you make under this amount, we'll subsidize your childcare. Well, that's when the Heritage Foundation started going after us really hard. And for the first time, Head Start became, it went from nonpartisan to partisan. And they tried to, the Bush administration tried to have us test 4-year-olds to prove that they weren't learning anything in Head Start, so they could defund us. And we did the testing. Of course, Bush's cronies in Texas made all the textbooks and all the tests and made millions of dollars off the government to do the testing. But when it came out that the children when they were graduating, Head Start going into school, they had shown improvement, they never put the test results out. So, but that's the first time it had been nonpartisan since the 60s when it was, supposed to be part of the war on poverty. And now, you see Head Start is on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And it's the Heritage Foundation that is behind 2025. And so it's the basic. Don't have children if you can't take care of them. That's their mantra.
And it's a big misnomer too. Where you came from, where you started from, is not an indicator who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Because people that we dug, and it came out of poor environment, poor living environment, that went on to do great things for this country. See, and this is what dummies up there in the White House now can understand. It's not where you started, it's where you end up.
Yeah.
You know, because one thing about it and stuff is, we done find out, it's been proven too many times, you didn't have to go to an Ivy League school to be a good judge, good lawyer, you know, a good doctor. You understand? You just had the desire and the zeal to want to learn and want to do, you know? See, it don't matter where you came from. You know, I sat down and listened, had friends sometimes tell me to my, well, you know, you just got to break. What break? Went to the same school you went to. My dad worked at the same paper mill, you know, that Jordan did. Went to the same 2 or 3 churches in the same community, you know, in the same environment. So a lot of it comes from what it is you want personally, you know, your desires. But when you forget about where you came from, then now you're doing repeat the past, because you don't have to stay poor, Cheryl, just because you started out poor.
Yeah, the other thing is that poorness is different than when we were kids.
That's right.
Because there are always people who are poor,
That's right.
right? But back when I was a
Yeah, you
kid,
said
poor people had cars,
yes,
okay?
yes.
They can afford to drive a car. They can afford to buy a car. Now, paying insurance for a car, paying to get it, you know, the title for license. I mean, all of those things cost a lot of money. If you're poor now, you basically have to depend on somebody else for transportation.
Let me ask you this question.
Owning your own vehicle has become kind of a luxury.
Well, let me ask you this question. The word tells us, say, blessed are the poor in spirit. You know, they're going to receive something, okay? Blessed are the pure at heart. They're going to receive something. No, and if Jesus and God both, if their basic premise was to, they push for helping the poor and the needy, then somewhere along the line and stuff, you know, it's like you need to find them people. You understand? You need to find them people, and anything you can do to help them, you know, you should do it.
Well, you know, when we moved here, and the basic wage here was, I think, $7.49 or something. And there was a thing going around on social media about, you know, lifting the minimum wage. And I said, well, in the state of Washington, it's already, minimum wage is like $12 or something, you know, so $15 isn't a big lift, you know, in Washington State. All I got was 8. Like, go back. We're fine. We're doing great the way we are.
You know
Why
what?
don't you go back to Washington?
Well, that premise worked long as everything went, you know. Same thing with the little quaint little town. They ain't so quaint no more. You can't afford to live here. Even I look at all the people that work for Durant, they don't even buy groceries from Durant. I meet all the people they over at the country market in Panama City and everywhere else, Winn-Dixie, Piggly Wiggly, not even shopping. So you driving 30, 40 minutes away because you can't afford to buy food at the one grocery store that's in town. See, Cheryl, we the poor people. You understand? We the poor people.
Well, I have to remind my kids, you can't afford to buy those eggs, right? I mean, stop going on and on about price tags. You can afford to buy some.
Well, look at that.
I refuse to buy it.
Sometimes stuff, and it's something you have to address yourself to. You know, who are the poor and who are the needy, you know, as opposed to what the doctor say. So you also got the greedy. See, the greedy always want to take advantage of what you're doing for the poor, and they want to get in and take advantage of, you know. So it's kind of hard in the area we live in now to try to identify.
Well, it's different to be greedy because you want an extra jar of peanut butter, or greedy because you want to make another $1 billion.
Continue to
All
be-
right, we'll finish this discussion in a minute.
Cheryl, how much you want
I didn't have digital, so it's $5.
to get?
10 in it.
Digital 10 and 10.
Gotcha.
All right,
Good morning.
good morning. Brother Fields.
That's
1, 2,
Oh,
3,
man,
4,
I'm
5,
telling you,
6.
Make you think about it.
Yeah.
Good morning
a
from
lot.
Bethel AME Church School, Port St. Joe, Florida, Bible Discovery Hour. Class report, date Sunday, 23 February 2025, class number 1, teacher present. Students joined the class today, none, visitors none. Total present 6, total contribution $55. Bishop Marvin C. Zandler, the second presiding prelate. Reverend Tan C. Moss, second presiding elder. Reverend Principal T. Jordan, pastor. Brother Clarence Fournette, superintendent. Brother Eddie Fields, assistant superintendent. Bible verse: the king will say to those at his right hand, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food." Matthew 25th chapter, 34th, 35th verse.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, our rest of the day. Kingdom life. You all want to just talk about it, or you?
Yeah.
All right. All right, Pastor, we'll let you start. Yeah, not to say, you didn't get to say all
I
that.
I'm hoping to come out and review.
All right.
In the lesson, the author has us go back to 2 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, where Paul was talking to the Corinthian church about what another church had did, and even though they were down and out, they were going through trials and tribulations, they still was willing to give. But he also told the Corinthian church, I don't want you to think I'm getting on you, because you've been doing a lot of other stuff. But don't get skinned on, don't get skimming, and you don't start skimming off of your generosity, right? And sometimes I think as a church, that's what we do. We do a lot. We do a lot in the community. We do a lot for a lot, but when it comes to our giving, it's like we're pulling pins and needles, right? People show up and do stuff, but because that's giving up our time and talent. But also, we got to give the money back to who it belongs to. That's the Lord. So we got to realize that, yeah, we got our time and our talents. But also, we got to be freely willing to give, because we can't help the poor, help those that are in need, if we don't have the means to do it. I mean, we can have all the time and the talent that we want, but if we can't go kill a cow, slaughter the cow, and make the meat for that person, it ain't gonna help them. We can have all the time and the talent, but if we don't know how to create electricity, we can't help that person that doesn't have electric. If we don't give, we can have all the time and the talent. We can change the pampers, but we can't make the pampers. So we have to realize that it's a whole collective that we have to do, not only our time and our talent, but also giving giving generously to those that are in need, but not to those that are in want. That's it.
Sure.
Well, I'm just thinking about that because when we posted some pictures in the Weewahishka News online, and they were of us being in the senior center. When Candy was running, we came to visit and did some things at both centers. And Weewahishka, is culturally a lot different than Port St. Joe, right? And they have a lot of different needs than the people here do, and maybe even more. And when people saw those pictures of just being with the senior citizens, we got, there was a lot of positive feedback from people who weren't really aligned with us when it comes to the whole giving thing, right? And I think that as the church, there's a couple of things, but the more that we give, and the community sees us as examples of giving and being on boards and giving of our time and giving of our talents, then the more likely they are to donate, to be, you know, feel more inclined to donate to the causes and to the church itself. And then I also have to remember that, and somebody just reinforced this for me, that, you know, no matter what person is going on in their life, if they are just a tiny bit attached to the church, you want to keep that attachment, because it may be the only positive thing that is going on for that person in their life. And so no matter what their issues are outside of the church, you know, if they're willing to come in every now and then and, you know, give a couple dollars in the offering plate, that we need to do whatever we can to keep that attachment.
But that's, to pick back off that, but if they're coming in and they're giving the $1, $2, they're giving out of their abundance, right? So you want to keep that person, because they're giving.
Right.
They're giving what you remember Jesus stopped the whole procession when the lady gave the penny. So they're giving, and make it clarify, even with our time and our talents, I use all of us in here. We give our times and our talents to the church, but sometimes in giving our time and our talents, we see that there's a need. So Brother Eddie will go and buy cleaning supplies. Brother Fidel will go and buy food. And so we're still giving generously, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want us to get, when we think about time and talent, some people just show up, right?
Right. It's a big deal.
Just showing up, and they make, well, I'm here. Okay, you showed up,
Right.
but you taking more, you know, they show up to the community luncheon, or they show up to the fish fry, they show up to the food giveaway, and they hand out 3 things, but they take 15 things with them.
Right.
Right, so it's a
It's hard not to get into that whole,
yeah.
you know, judging thing. Because if somebody, I guess my bottom line is, if somebody asks me or approaches me for help, I help them.
Yeah.
And I leave it to their conscience and their relationship with God to figure out the rest. Okay? So I think that's what's wrong with a lot of people in the conservative movement, is that they're generous, but they are generous with, you have to have a checklist.
They're generous. I shouldn't say that.
It has stipulations. If I think you're worthy, then I'll give it.
They're generous.
And it comes, and yeah, and it comes into their own, you know, idea of what a person is deserving, what person is deserving. So I just always like, if they're in line for the food and they're driving a $40,000 truck, sure, you know, you might go, wow. But by standing in line, I met a man who was in a $40,000 truck, and I gave him something to sign, and he had me sign it for him, because he said, I've been on disability after the hurricane. I fell off the roof, and I had brain damage. But you see the $40,000 truck, and you're like, why is that truck coming through the, you know, food? So a lot of people base their judgments on people by what they see and not what they know or understand.
Views.
I always turn to that. Christian Community Development Fund, I remember when this young lady started that, and she asked me help. And Auburn students, they come every year. And when they first started, it was 163 students coming to Port St. Joe. We've been doing this now for 23 years. They're coming next month, the 8th. And it has increased up to 400 and some students and parents and little children coming here to help the community out. They help the community in Apalachicola, St. Joe, and Weewalk. And I asked them one time, I said, why do y'all keep coming back here? We love coming to St. Joe. We love coming here and helping everybody. I said, really? When they come here, they pay for their own food. They pay for their own lodging. So they give it back of their time. We're going to have think about 15 here, we're gonna have about 15 at the center, we're gonna have about 30 out there with just in general area that will work all down MLK. When I see those students that I'm moving around, some areas that we stop to, that we sing gospel music, they be doing different things. They had a concert at the gym one time, and I just look at them and I say, you all keep coming, keep coming. Now reading the lesson, there's sometimes people appreciate what you do, and then you have those that don't appreciate what you do. And that's the sad part. These students been coming 23 years. You have some people they don't appreciate. Nothing those students do. Once they leave, or some of the students that are left here, they treat them bad. But when the group is here, they treat them good when they get what they want. But when some of them leave and some of them stay still working, they treat them bad. And I used to always say, do not do that to those students that don't come every year. People are unappreciative and they're in the need. They're in the need. We do repairs on homes, all type of things. And I just keep thinking, each time they come and get together as a group, they go to different people's houses and pray for them. They're walking up and down the streets, singing, stopping at different houses, praying for people. And I said, that's what it's about, right there, what they're doing. That's what they set a very good example of what everybody should be trying to do.
Especially for young.
Yeah, if you have it, you're having the will and to be a willing worker to give back to somebody that's in need.
Okay, can I ask this question? When we talk about time and talent, does it, sometimes time and talent, I'm trying to see how I want to put this. Sometimes, depending on the situation, sometimes your time and talent deals with your finance, giving the finances too. Then there's other times where time and talent doesn't deal with finances in itself. Like with the students, their time and talent, it is helping, but they're actually, it's a financial burden on them. So, but sometimes, like I mentioned the diapers, sometimes the time and talent is I have a car, I know how to drive, I'm gonna go to the store and buy the Pampers and take to the, so you, and I think that's what Jesus is telling them, humble yourselves in the situation. Every situation is different. So your generosity sometimes is not only time and talent, it's money too. Because sometimes you may have to go help somebody, you may have to go buy the food and cook the food for them. So not only, because some people will buy the food and say, well, I bought it. Bro, I bought the food and you ain't telling me I gotta cook it too for them.
Well, that happens a lot. A lot of people get food. There are a lot of people giving food away right now. But when we used to give out the food at Thanksgiving, a lot of people had food in their house, but they were old and they just didn't have the energy to cook the food.
They didn't have a stove to cook.
Well,
Yeah, but some had stoves and all.
prepping food takes, you have to be able to manipulate it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I found out, that a lot of people just didn't have the energy. Well, I just grab a can of sardines.
Yeah. So they need that energy to stand up.
Right, yeah, they don't.
Well, sometimes just opening the can, you know,
Right,
we don't think
exactly,
about it.
right.
But I had to ask Second Harvest one time, could you get more food that has the pull tops? Because a lot of the people that we deliver food to aren't able to open cans.
Right, exactly.
You know, and sometimes too, you have to understand too, it made us the Fresh Bible we was doing. We started fixing food that was already prepared and just taking out the cooked lunches. Even when the church used to do it every Thanksgiving, because like I say, some people can't cook. And this is the thing that, I point in the book, and when he talked about the 4 identifiers, that you got to feel regret. Am my money is going where, giving the service the need as represented, or, am I getting because I'm getting from my heart and stuff, or are you just doing it, because you want to, guarantee that if I'm going to give something, it's actually getting to the people.
Right.
See, you can make donations, but, you can overwhelm yourself because one thing about it, Jesus made it pointed and it's still here today. The poor gonna be with you always. You understand? Some people gonna always have a need. Now, can you give to every charitable organization? You know, now, if you a billionaire, you know, hey, probably won't hurt you to give a couple $100,000, you know. But guess what? You start trying to pick. You know, I used to get the thing when they used to come out working all them years. You know, they come out the little thing. What charity you want to donate to? Well, you know, a lot of times, you know, I would pick sickle cell anemia because I had 2 grandsons, you know, that had the traits, you know, and I feel it was something that needed to be addressed, you know. But a lot of people, let's put it, be for real with it. Charitable giving is like everything else.
Yeah.
It's down. It's going down. You know.
Discussion with somebody last
Yeah.
night about that.
Because it's going down because people just don't see everybody you know, for now don't have the heart. Forgive me, ain't got nothing to do about the need share about being able to afford it. Some people just adverse to giving, you know, because I don't want to give my money and it never reaches the people that really need it.
And a lot of nonprofits now have turned into more like businesses.
It's
Where
professional.
people.
It's professional setup where they
Make
need
a
money.
career, you know.
Yeah, well, I think what Jesus talking about here in this lesson, you know, he's trying to get us to give and help people
Yeah.
and to do those type things. So, you know, it's gonna always be somebody that's gonna try to
Yeah.
beat the system, but
Yeah.
what he's trying to get us to see is that we should
Yes,
be doing
always.
these things. Let me read this passage. All right, church school is open at 9:35 with the singing of Walk With Me, Lord, Apostles' Creed, prayer, reading of the lesson text. Matthew 25th chapter, 31st to the 46th verse. Class number 1, teacher present. And the youth teacher present also, total present today. Total contribution was $55. Parents Manette, Superintendent, Reverend Christopher Jordan, Pastor. Any correction or addition? All right, Pastor.
Great discussion. Great discussion. And I was actually, when I looked at the lesson, I did some pulling up and did a little research about during that time of goats and sheep. But because what you've heard me say it, and it's something I always have to remind myself when I'm dealing with the Bible and there's references to stuff. I need to go back and see what it meant then, not what it means now. And I pulled this up, but then I'm gonna go somewhere else. But since I saw it, but when we look at it, sheep during that time, sheep are obedient and follow the shepherd. Goats are independent and stubborn. Goats tend to do their own thing and stray away. Sheep recognize their shepherd's voice and follow his direction. Sheep are gentle and community oriented. Sheep prefer to stay together in a flock. Goats are aggressive and self-centered. Goats can be pushy, often fending for themselves. Sheep are a symbol of righteousness in the Bible. Sheep in the Bible often represent God's faithful people. Goats are a symbol of rebellion, or sometimes used to symbolize sin or disobedience. Sheep are reluctant, reliant on the shepherd. Sheep trust and depend on their shepherd for guidance and provision. Goats are self-sufficient and willful. Goats often resist guidance and wonder. So the question, after reading that, for those that are online, because I know I'm not talking about nobody here in the sanctuary, are you really a sheep or are you really a goat? I mean, when you're looking at it, ask myself that, right? But we got to realize that no matter how independent we want to be, we still got to be dependent on something or somebody. No matter how independent, you know, when cell phones first came out, it was a car phone. So you had to have it in the car, and it still had that the cord to it and all that, that big. So it was still relying on something, right? But then they got it to where cell phones are like this now. But guess what? It's still, no matter how independent this cell phone is, you still got to connect it back to a source somewhere, So a lot of people carry their charge around with them. And the first thing they do when they get places, especially like you, they walk around, let them come in the church. They walk around looking like this, looking for a hole.
Oh, there's a church.
So they can charge you. We should always be walking around looking for what we can help Jesus with, right? So are we sheep or are we goats? That's one thing. But we start talking about generosity. And we talk about time and talents. So I just want to throw this out there. When we look at generosity itself, it is what Jesus is telling the people here when you were, because notice what he said, when I was naked, you clothed me. That means you had to have some clothes. That means you had to give some resources, right? When I was sick, you came and so you healed me. That means you had to have some resources and you had to have some talent, right? But when I was in prison, you visited me. That didn't mean you had to give them money at that time. He didn't actually put them on his books, right? You just visited them. That means you had to take some time, right? So when we look at generosity, we got to look at it as threefold. And the way I'm looking at it now, I got a tweet from heaven a little while ago where I'm sitting there. Time, talent, treasure, right? T plus T plus T equals generosity. If you take one of them out, you're not being generous, because all three of them is what it takes, and it might not be at the same time. All right. You may show up to a fish fry, you may show up to a community event, and you're giving your time, because they ain't gonna let you cook. Because last time you boiled water, you about burned down your house, so they ain't gonna let you. They ain't gonna let you cook, right? So they'll let you take the orders. They ain't gonna let you count the money, because your counting is not there. Not that you're gonna put it in your pocket. Your counting, I ain't saying that. Your counting is not that good, right? But you're giving of your time and your talent because you're taking orders, right? You're walking back and forth. You're cleaning up. You're doing what you can, right? But somebody they say, well, I can't cook, but I'll buy the grease. So now the church ain't got to buy the grease because you donated the grease, but so you've given some of your resources. I got a bunch of to-go plates at the house, so I'm gonna bring them. You just give it of your resources. So I want us to get in the mindset of when we look at generosity, it's not just about money. It also includes time, talent, and resources. True biblical generosity is a lifestyle that reflects God's love, grace, in every aspect of life. And something else I pulled up, the 3 dimensions of generosity. Generosity with time. Giving time to serve others is an act of love. Generosity with talents, gifts, and abilities. Using God-given gifts to bless others and build his kingdom. Then generosity with treasures. Giving to those in need, supporting ministries, and practicing stewardship. So it's a threefold thing. Don't get weary in well doing. Don't allow people to. People will always question your generosity, your motives. We finna preach a sermon here in a minute. I don't want to get into it, but people are always gonna question your motives. They're gonna question what you do. But you should always have some with you, and I tell you what that is when I give you the time. The message. They're always gonna be questioned, right? But don't allow people to pull you out of your generosity. Don't allow church folk to stop you from giving generously. Don't stop church. Don't let these church folk. I'm gonna say church folk because it ain't the ones on the street. It's the ones that sit in the pews with us on every Sunday. Stop you from giving your time, your talent, and your treasure. Don't allow them to do that, because at the end, we always say this: you got to give an account of your stewardship right? And when you get up there, I don't know, and I hope I don't find out no time soon, that when you get up there and they say, well, Reverend Jordan kept telling me this and he wouldn't let me do this, so I stopped doing it. No, it's an account of your story. I deal with Reverend Jordan when he gets here, but I'm dealing with you today. So what have you done? Because only what we do for the Lord will last.
I gotta go.
Okay,
Pick up my rider.
you're right. It's back in the hands of
Okay. That's good. Let us stand for our church school creed and the. I believe in
the church school must grow and grow. And I must make it a top priority to make me so. Every member a Christian, every Christian worker, every worker trained, so the worker need not be ashamed. This we ask in Jesus' name.
We have
come, we have studied, we have learned. So until our next coming together, study God's word. May the rich blessings reside with you, and may His grace be eternally yours. Amen. And since Sister Linda, right? She already knows that. I am starting to work slowly, and I'm going to reach out to everyone on our Man's Day program.